Right. I'm trying to see what is big news. Yeah, we're good.
Recording in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to another episode of Can We Talk? It's your boy Eric, and I'm here with Anthony. We're missing Shayna today.
Yeah, and Shayna's on leave. Happy Mother's Day to her.
Yes, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. You doing anything with your mom? Any plans?
I am doing something. I took my mom to see Medea. That was her early Mother's Day present. My grandmother, I think I'm meeting her and the family at Outback Steakhouse.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, same. Yeah. Dinner with the fam and all that good stuff. But Medea, wait, there's another Medea out?
No, the play, remember?
Oh, the play, that's right.
That was her early Mother's Day present.
Oh.
And I took her to see Endgame.
So when you saw Medea like 2 weeks ago, that was her Mother's Day?
Yeah.
Oh, that's what's up, man. Man, so we got a interesting show today. I kind of want to get into current events slightly. I'm just sick of the depressing news that we got all the time, man. We got to lighten this up a little bit, right? Any good news? Any happy news that happened over? I'm trying to think.
Any good news?
Yeah, anything that's bright, vibrant news, something that's positive news.
Something that's positive.
Whether it happened personally.
I can't give you something off the top, but I mean, I know there's a documentary on Netflix. A lot of people love this woman. I don't know much about her or her politics, but I do know that she's very popular. Alexandria Cortez.
Yeah.
There's a documentary about her rise to. So what is she on now? She on Congress or?
Yeah, she's a congresswoman right now.
Right, so it's about her rise and like defeating the odds to get a seat on Congress, and apparently it's an uplifting documentary. So that's good news.
I saw that too, though. It's really good. We can discuss that a little bit later if you want to, but
we can.
Yeah. So in terms of news that's kind of like stuck out this week or the past couple of weeks, did you hear about the story in Texas, like the little girl who got kidnapped? Apparently.
No, what happened?
All right, so it was a little girl who was going to the airport with her stepfather. The stepfather claimed that 3 Hispanic men came and robbed him, knocked him out, conscious, took the little girl. He wound up like 5 or 6 miles away from where he was.
Did he say it was a pack or he just said 3 Hispanic?
He just said 3 Hispanic men.
Okay.
And so the little girl went missing. So it was the little girl, it was the stepson, and then the stepfather in the car. The little girl went missing, but the stepson and the stepfather were both found alive. They've been searching for this little girl for like 4 or 5 days. I don't think they found her yet, but I think yesterday they arrested the stepfather under suspicion that he must have kidnapped or did something to the little girl. So that was, man, that's kind of scary. I'm trying to get the reasoning why. Like, why would someone do this? But, this world is crazy we live in, so who knows?
So what's the update? Right now she's just missing?
She's still missing, and I think they arrested the stepfather currently. So we don't know any more news.
Okay.
So that's
my prayers go out to her.
Yeah.
I hope she is found.
Another story out of Texas as well. I'm sure you heard about the Sandra Bland case.
Yeah, I know Sandra Bland. Yeah.
So they apparently released another video of her camera phone. So she was recording her interaction with the police officer, showing from her perspective.
Right.
And it shows you that she wasn't doing anything wrong. Like, it was kind of an unreasonable arrest. Like, they arrested her, put her over for no reason.
Didn't the original video show that though?
The original video did, but the officer claimed that he felt threatened. But from this recording, you can clearly see that she just had her phone recording, like, hey, what are you doing? Why are you pulling me over? So there was no threat to the officer made whatsoever.
A lot of mysterious circumstances regarding her death too, right?
Yeah. So she found, for those who don't know, she was put over in Texas. I think it was around like 2015, 2016, a few years ago.
That, yeah.
So she was arrested, and then she was later found in her jail cell hanging. So I guess they said she committed suicide. But there was a lot of speculation that wasn't the case. I think some people throw some conspiracies about the police officers came in and killed her, and then they hung her up to act like she was committed suicide. The police officer who did arrest her wasn't charged for anything. So it's kind of just been a case that's been, kind of a mystery. And a lot of people are trying to solve and figure out what really happened with Sandra Bland. So again, that opens up another door in terms of like what really happened. It's always kind of, those situations are tough, especially when you're dealing with police brutality. And, a lot of people, especially in the black community, feel that there's this increase of just unnecessary force, that police officers use against African American people, and this kind of highlights that.
I always wondered to myself if it will ever change. Because that's the one thing I still have hope about. Because like if you don't have the police to protect you, then you just have to protect yourself, and that's a very hard world.
I just don't think it will change. I think that this is kind of ingrained in the system. You know, you can find great police officers. There are great police officers I've interacted with, who when they pull you over, they're kind, polite. Obviously it's a mutual respect thing, but there are also police officers who are just nasty, right, for no reason.
There's a theory too. I remember one time Eddie Griffin was on Vlad TV. I believe it was him who suggested this. He says, "Look, man, if you look at the police officers in L.A., and we're just talking about L.A., but this could like apply to anywhere. You got police officers that are on the street, on the beat, and they see the same thing every single day.
Yeah.
And some things they see that are horrible, they start to lose hope. While people in the office, they just work in the office. They work at a desk. They said there should be kind of like a shift change. There should be a recycling between people on the street and people in the office. Like everybody switches shifts. I don't think the system is like that. If it was like that, you might see a change in behavior.
Yeah, and I think there's also just the over-policing of minority communities. I think it's just like, again, the crimes that are committed between urban, suburban communities, yes, there may be a disparity, but there's also an over policing. So you're going to catch more people in urban areas when you have more police officers, doing the work and out there.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that urban communities are more inherent to committing crimes. No, it's just you police them more, and I think that sort of builds. It's about community building. It's about relationship building between the community and the police officers. Because back in the day, a lot of police officers grew up in the neighborhoods. You kind of knew who they were. You're like, oh, that's Mr. Johnson. He's an officer. He lives down the street. I know him. So that mutual understanding and relationship that you built, that made it more easy for everyone to kind of get along and sort of understand, where everyone's coming from. But I think now, you have a lot of police officers who don't live in the area. They're coming from different places, and so they are a little bit more aggressive in some cases. But we gotta figure out how we're gonna fix that, because again, too many people are dying. Too much violence is happening in the community, in terms of just this excessive force that you see. And we also got to do something within our own communities as well. We got to sort of educate our citizens on, just being careful. Like there's some things that you got to do if you do get pulled over, like lessons you should know, like put your hands on the dashboard, try to stick your hands out, show your ID, so stuff like that we got to just use as survival tactics.
Yeah, there are unspoken rules. Like when I'm pulled over, I think I've only been pulled over once, but when I am pulled over, like I got both my hands on the steering wheel, volume turned down low. And that's not because every citizen should do that. It's because I'm DWB.
Right.
I'm driving while black. I'm aware of like, hey, I should be still in case this officer is a little jumpy.
And there's nothing worse than like getting put over at night too. I don't know if that happened to you.
Yeah, that's the worst. Yeah, it was at night.
Man, I'm like, dog, let me just turn my light on so they see what I'm doing. And it's unfortunate.
You gotta tell them, turn the camera on, turn the body cam on.
For real, but it's unfortunate you gotta live like that though. It's really sad, man. But it's just the times. I do have another story too. So I don't know if we were able to talk about this, but we have a bunch of people running for the Democratic nomination for president, right?
Yeah.
Did you hear about Elizabeth Warren's idea of waiving half of student debt? Did you hear about that?
No, but it sounds like a dream.
Yeah.
It sounds like that, just a dream. A lot of politicians promise things, but I'm not trying to be pessimistic. Go ahead, give me the deets.
Yeah, so Elizabeth Warren came out with a policy that she hopes to enact where if you have over, I think, $50,000 in debt and you make, what did she say? I forgot the specific amount that you make. Like you have to make a little bit less than what you owe in debt. Mm-hmm. They'll wipe out, I think it says she'll wipe out up to $50,000. Like, so... It's a great policy in theory, right? So again, if she does become president or if she's nominated, who's to say it's going to happen? I hate to hold out hope, like you said.
Look, it's a great promise, but that's what politics and that's what the presidential races run on, promise.
Yeah.
Trump ran on his promise, like we're gonna build that wall.
Right.
It's
not happening.
Obama ran on the promise for a better future. Mm-hmm. Things were better for a bit, and then now we're where we're at now.
Yeah. So who would you want to see as the Democratic nominee? I know we got Joe Biden, who's kind of leading right now.
Listen, man, Shayna's not a fan of Biden, but at this point, I'm AABT. I'm almost anyone but Trump at this point, bro. Like, I mean, I have to see who is running. I mean,
Right.
if Biden is the only Democratic nominee and that's against Trump, I'll vote for Biden. Like, I'll take Biden over Trump, but it depends on who's running. I am a Bernie fan, but I'm kind of feeling like he's a little too old, man.
Yeah. Even Biden's too old, though.
Yeah, but I feel like Bernie could be a VP. You know what I mean?
Right.
Elizabeth Warren, all right, well, sure, maybe. But I feel like one thing when you look at people like Biden and Clinton and even like George W. Bush, people don't want more of the same thing.
Right.
We had Biden as a VP for 8 years, so I mean. Looking at that, many people be like, well, look, we had the Obama administration and we didn't like it, so why would we take Biden? And then people bring up the Anita Hill thing, and I know Shayna talks about the Crime Act or something.
Yeah.
And then when you look at Hillary Clinton, we had Bill Clinton for 8 years while we won another Clinton administration. People are tired of the same thing. That's really a small reason as to why Trump won, because he was new and fresh.
I could definitely see that, but I think that the Democrats right now are being so reactionary. Like, they're afraid to put up a candidate who they think is polarizing because they think, oh, maybe people are going to vote for, stay with Trump because they're afraid of the Democratic candidate.
I'm disappointed in them because it's like they were so against Bernie, they just pushed Clinton to the front and just cheated Bernie out of his win. I'm like, really? Like, that's where the disappointment came for me.
I agree, and I think people, after that happened, they just became so disheartened with the process that they were like, hey, I'm not either voting or I'm just going to vote for, that third-party candidate just in spite.
Yeah, I'm still going to vote. I mean, I do it with a little bit of reluctance, but I'm still going to vote.
You got to.
Yeah.
It's just your civic duty. You got to vote. But that's it for my portion. Should we go to, I don't know if you got any hip-hop news since Shannon's not
any
here.
hip-hop news? You know what? For the first time, you know me, man. With popular songs, if I don't know the artist, I kind of like just stay away. But I finally heard Old Town Road, bro.
It's catchy, man.
It's so catchy,
That's
man.
the catchiest song. I swear. I'm so mad that they didn't classify it as country, although
You
it's,
know what that is, man.
Yeah,
It's a little bit of prejudice there. You know what that is.
Although you listen to country now, it kind of uses some of the same like trap beats in it anyway. So it's like, come on, where's the line?
It's all relative. And I like what Lil Nas X did. Shout out to Billy Ray Cyrus, giving him a shout out. Like, hey, man, this is country.
Yeah.
And hopping on the remix. I like the song, man. It's catchy.
Yeah, but I saw that they gave, outside of Billy Ray Cyrus' house, they put a little billboard in front of his house saying, oh, congrats on the top Billboard hit, without acknowledging Lil Nas X.
Yeah.
That's disrespectful to me, man.
Again,
can't do that.
We know what that is. You know what I mean? It's like when Beyonce performed with the Dixie Chicks at the CMA Awards.
Yeah.
It was all kind of like, oh, why bring her up there? She ruined the show. We know what that is, man.
Yeah, we
Country
do.
don't want to accept us, even though we birth country.
Right. Country
But
came
it
out
is
of-
what it is.
Yeah, but you know what? I got to give Lil Nas X his credit.
Oh, yeah.
He took advantage of this time we living in now where, people love the social media, hits and stuff. And that kind of grew out of that. Like, I was just listening to it I saw it on Twitter or something. And I'm like, oh, this is a nice little, 2-minute song that someone created. And then all of a sudden this thing is on the top of the charts. Like, that's nuts.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
what I think
happy
about
for him. I want to see what he does next. I hope he's not a one-hit wonder. I hope he keeps going.
Should he change his name, though? Is that disrespect to Nas?
That's the thing. I mean, what is his name really Nasir? Like, what's his real
I don't
name?
know. That's a great
We
question.
can look it up real quick. I mean, I don't think he should change his name, because it's not in disrespect to Nas. I mean, he said Lil Nas X. I mean, like,
Yeah.
maybe he just looks up to Nas like that. His name is Montero Lamar Hill. He thinks that he's thinking of changing it because Nas, like in his words, he says Nas is a legend. I'm thinking of changing it, but I'm all right with it.
Okay. You know what? I think
Nas was a revolutionary. You know what I
Right.
mean? He made music. He made Illmatic when he was young. Lil Nas X made this when he was young. So
Yeah, and it's not like he's biting Nas' flows. Not like he's stepping into his lane.
right.
He's paying homage to, I think, a guy he appreciates in the music industry. So yeah, I don't have a problem with either.
Okay. So before we get into like our little dedication to a legend, I want to talk about Endgame.
Okay.
So you saw it a second time. I'm
Yeah.
gonna let you go. Did you notice anything different?
After watching it the second time,
Anything that was cleared up?
I mean, I got the whole time travel part a lot better.
Mhm.
I was able to sort of understand, like, sort of how when they went back in time, it created different pathways, like different universes. It didn't change anything that's currently occurring.
Right.
it just sort of created its own separate spinoff, right? And I think that looking at it that way made it more, I guess, understandable in a sense. I mean, I was just as emotional the second time watching it, especially the end. I was like, man, this still got me shook.
Somebody behind me was crying.
It was some people out there crying.
Yeah.
So, what did you think? I kind of want to hear what you saying.
So seeing it a second time, it did clear up some things for me plot wise because I still feel the same way. It's a great movie.
Yeah.
But with Gamora, remember when we talked about she wasn't on the ship. I remember Star-Lord was looking on the board
He
like
said missing. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess I'm guessing that Guardians 3 might be them trying to find her. So that's what made me think. I feel like during the battle she probably dipped out like, well, they fighting them, so I'm going.
Yeah.
Because I hope she wasn't caught in the snap. They would have showed that.
That's what I thought initially. Like, was she caught in there? Like, why did she just sort of? They didn't show her at all.
They would have showed her, but they would have showed her in the snap. I mean, so that's what I'm thinking. Guardians 3 is going to be about. That was So you've seen Batman versus Superman.
Yeah.
Okay, so I gotta get on my podium for a second. So remember when everybody clowned that scene when Superman. Batman is about to kill Superman. Superman's like, Martha!
Yeah, I remember
and
that.
Batman's like, how you know that name?
Yeah.
Dog. Endgame had a Batman versus Superman moment, bro. So, like, old Captain America was fighting new Captain America. Old Captain America had new Captain America in the chokehold. All of a sudden, Bucky's alive! Wait, what?
He stopped. Right.
Why did you say that? And then all of a sudden, he knocked him out and stuff. Like, they had a Batman versus Superman moment.
That's true.
Bro.
I didn't think about that. And the little pocket watch with his fiance's picture popped out, and that was kind of the same thing too.
Yeah.
Man, but it was a great movie. Like even the second watch, I'm like, this is still good.
The end battle was still epic.
Yes.
People were still clapping their hands.
It was good. So you were talking about the that Netflix show you saw, the movie with
Bringing
Alexandria.
Down the House.
Yeah. So what did you think? What were your first thoughts and impressions?
I didn't see it. I heard it was good.
Oh, you definitely got to see it. I enjoyed it. It was good seeing sort of how she came out of nowhere. Kind of, she's going up against this guy who's a career politician. Just to stun him, right? In a way where you saw people they wanted that change. And so you know the story. We know she got elected to Congress and all that good stuff.
That was pretty dope when I saw that on MSN News when she first won. I was like, oh, that's pretty dope.
Yeah, it is, man. It's good to see. And she's young too. She's like maybe a year older than me, so that's kind of cool to see like someone. Even in her 20s, who were able to.
She holds on to her guns too.
Oh yeah. She's definitely about. She does a great job of doing her research, being willing to call out people on the BS they talk about. Like you said, she will definitely be out there aggressive and will call you out. So that's great to have. Anything else that I've seen recently?
Dude, I finally finished Samurai Jack.
Oh man, I haven't seen it.
You never watched that show?
I never watched it. No, was it Cartoon Network? Or?
Yeah, it was Cartoon Network. It ran for 4 seasons initially, back when we were younger, and then it came back for one last season 3 years ago. And that last season is just excellent. But I finished the whole thing, and it was tremendous.
I gotta check that out, man. I've never had the opportunity to see it. Whoa.
Like when I was younger, I thought it was boring, but now in my older age, I'm like, you know what, this show is cold.
I honestly never really watched Cartoon Network like that. I was never a fan. I don't know, just personally.
I feel like back in the day, Nickelodeon killed it with the cartoons, and I don't want to digress too much, but they had the Invader Zim, they had the SpongeBob, they had the Avatar, and nowadays Cartoon Network has the regular show, Adventure Time, Steven Universe. Cartoon Network took that torch back.
Yeah. I guess we can. I don't know if I haven't seen anything else. Oh, I do want to talk about the movie Ma. I'm interested. I'm intrigued.
Oh yeah,
the one with Octavia Spencer.
You know what, man? I think that might be good. Her and Tate Taylor have worked before on The Help.
Yeah.
And The Help is a good movie. Tate Taylor made the film with James Brown, where Chadwick Boseman was playing James Brown. Get On Up.
Yep.
He made that movie too. So I got faith in this one. It looks a little strange.
It does, but again, the trailers don't really tell you much. I mean, it's
that's a good thing.
Right, because I'm sure it goes a little bit deeper than what we see on the trailers. But Blumhouse Productions, man, they killing it.
Yeah. So I have faith. I think Octavia would do a great maniacal job. Another thing I'm really looking forward to, bro, is Child's Play.
Oh yeah, man. Oh my God, it has everyone from most of them from Atlanta. in there.
You got Brian Tyree
Yeah.
Henry. You got Aubrey Plaza. You got freaking Luke Skywalker voicing Chucky. And he
nuts.
voices the Joker in the Batman animated series, so you know he's going to do a great job.
I'm
Because
excited
I didn't
for
think
that
they could pass the torch from Brad Dourif, but he seems like a good replacement.
one. Man, that's like a childhood horror film that just haunts me, man. I remember I had a dream as a kid that the little Chucky doll was chasing me through my house. And then just like,
I thought Chucky was funny.
He is funny.
I thought he was a funny villain. But this one looks good because it gives more of like a new science fiction take on it. Like,
Yep.
you know, like there's like this computer generated doll made to life, but something's wrong within the system. You know,
I'm excited for that. Have you seen Rami? It's a net.
I've heard of it. It sounds.
It's a Hulu series.
I've heard of it. It sounds funny. Have you seen it?
Yeah, I've seen the first maybe 4 or 5 episodes. It's pretty good. Like being able to see, you know, sort of the coming of age story of a Muslim American. You don't really get to see that often. Right?
Yeah,
You usually get to see the stories of, you know, traditional characters, either black, white, but rarely someone who's Muslim or Middle Eastern. So it was nice kind of seeing some of the cultural things they throw in there, seeing the perspective of what his life was like around like 9/11. It touches on like,
Oh wow, that seems like that might be deep.
yeah, so like different episodes touch on different topics. So you may have an episode that's like a flashback to his childhood. There's an episode where it's talking about, you know, like him navigating his culture in terms of like dealing with relationships and sex, you know, getting some hard-hitting topics. It's really good. It's a great way of looking at the cultural perspective from a way that you're not kind of used to.
Yeah.
It's not mainstream. So yeah, definitely check it out.
Okay, so let me ask you this: Do you know that The Chi is back on TV?
I didn't know that. No.
Yeah, the second season is on TV.
When did it start?
I don't know when it started, but it's been on for about like I want to say 3 or 4 episodes now. I am going to get back into it, but yeah,
It's been kind of quiet though. I feel like not a lot of people talked about it recently.
I did see advertisements on Facebook,
Yeah.
but other than that, no, I didn't see many advertisements. But it is back on TV.
Man, I tell you, that's one of the few shows where I actually pay for a subscription to Showtime.
Yeah,
And I did the free trial, so I had to watch it all within like 7 days. But it was worth
It's a
it.
solid show.
It was worth it for sure.
Like I know people compare it to The Wire, but it's different. I mean, it's its own like it's just like a simple show about life in the Chi.
Yeah.
It can get a little violent, it can get a little rowdy, but it's pretty much like a simple show.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean that in a good way.
It's good.
The show that Shayna loves to hate is heading into its final season.
Which one?
You know, the show that, you know, everybody loves. Not everybody, but, you know, most people on social media love. Power.
Oh, man, I can't deal with Power.
It's heading into the final chapter. You know what, man? I started with the first season. I kind of drifted off, but people tell me get into season 2 because that's when it leaps up. I might hop back into it one day. I'll never say never.
For me, Power is just like a raunchier version of like Empire a little bit.
They're 2 different shows.
I know one deals with Empire deals with, you know, a few family who owns a record label, yes, but it kind of still has like the same feel a little bit. You got this head guy who's, you know,
I know people have made comparisons, but they're just 2 different shows. I've seen both. Like Power is about like drug dealing and power and, you know, underground New York. Like Empire is about family and music. It's basically Dallas with hip hop.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
for sure. Yeah, but that's all I saw recently, man. I'm just excited to check out some more stuff. Let's move on to the main topic.
I think we spent enough time.
Yeah.
You know, we gotta, you know,
Yeah.
we gotta take one back. We gotta give a shout out, 30-minute shout out to a legend, a myth, the man.
You gonna do the eulogy, man? You wanna go ahead and
Let me do a eulogy, man.
Yeah.
You know, this guy right here, like as a personal storyteller, this man influenced me. You know, even when I was younger to now, to see his career like kind of go on hiatus for a while and then rebirth himself with an FX series, a BET series, you know, producing deals. Like this man, he really had a great second act that lived up to his tremendous first act.
Yeah.
The man, when it comes to like Black Hollywood, just Hollywood in general, the man is a pioneer. You know, he deserves to be up there with the names of Spike Lee. You know what I mean? The Jordan Peels now, the Ryan Cooglers now. I'm sure they all took notes from him. Yo, we got to give it out to John Singleton, man.
Hey, rest in peace. Man. So with that being said, should we just go through his
Let's just go down the line.
go down a lot of his movies? First off, I gotta say, his first movie, Boys in the Hood, he was what 23.
I believe he was 23.
23 years old.
He was young.
This man was 23 years old, right? He was, again, at 23, I'm thinking, like, what was I doing at 23? Nothing good. Nothing that's extraordinary.
Hollywood was different back then. He was offering something that hadn't been done before, a hood movie that wasn't silly.
Right.
He was 24, the first African-American and youngest person to ever been nominated for Best Director.
Wow.
And it's just, it was just for one of the most, influential films of all time, Boys in the Hood.
Seriously, man, just like the social commentary on just living in trying to survive in a hood, like in places where very similar to where I grew up growing up, but to be able to tell it in a way that's unique, has sense of there are some funny moments, right?
Yeah, there are funny moments,
but it's serious. It's like a serious portrayal of what life is like in a hood. And it's one of those things where I was a little bit older when I first saw it. Like I was probably like 7 or 8. It came out in '91, so I was a 1-year-old in '91. But when I was able to actually see it, close around 8, 9, even then I'm like, wow, this is actually a movie that's similar to like where I'm growing up, right? It's similar to my lived experience, and that was kind of awesome to see back then.
Yeah, that was one of the few rated R movies where my mom didn't let me watch them, but when she did, I guess, catch me watching it, she was hesitant to stop me because the movie does have lessons in it.
Yeah, because Lawrence Fishburne threw some nuggets out there about gentrification.
Yeah,
about black businesses,
like safe sex.
Yeah,
being a man, because that's the main frame through which the movie is told. Trey goes to live with his father in South Central because his mother, Angela Bassett, and I believe they're more like. Did he live like in a middle class neighborhood with Angela Bassett?
I think so. Yeah, he was just like he got into some trouble as with his teacher or something like that.
Yeah, they got in trouble as a kid. So his mom said, "Look, you're gonna stay with your dad for a while because I can't teach you how to be a man." And that's from where the film starts, from childhood to adulthood.
Yeah.
And it's just a well told film, and it's just a great film. Like the acting all around.
Seriously.
You had the rise of Ice Cube as a dramatic actor. You had Angela Bassett, you had Lawrence Fishburne, Morris Chestnut, and one of the saddest deaths of all time.
Man, still gets me.
It's amazing.
Yeah, man. The whole critique of, maleness and blackness.
Cuba Gooding Jr., how can I forget him?
Oh, yeah, Cuba. Yeah. It critiques sort of this idea of being a black male, in society a little bit as well. The challenges that we have to deal with, just sort of dealing with the complexities of our environment, but also trying to be strong in that process, right? And he had that scene where he broke down. He just started swinging at the air. That was one of those.
It's a pretty powerful scene, man.
Yeah, it's iconic. It's like, man, this guy who on the outside who tried to portray himself as being this strong, figure, he had this sense of vulnerability in that moment, right?
Yeah, and in addition to that, you got Nia Long in it too. But I wanted to say, so like, it's kind of like almost. Is it almost like the reverse? Well, not. Is it almost like kind of like the alternate gentrification when you had the liquor stores popping up on every corner? Because I remember that scene where Cuba Gooding Jr.'s father was talking about that. Like, they putting these liquor stores on every corner.
Yeah.
They're killing us.
Yeah.
And that's something that's even prevalent today. I mean, today it was kind of different. We got the marijuana stores on every corner, dispensaries. But it was like that in Detroit for a while. And I'm like, man, L.A. is kind of like Detroit when I looked at that scene, like, because we got liquor stores on every corner.
Yep. And the fact that there were just this lack of black-owned businesses as well. So you got people coming in from outside the neighborhood,
right,
creating these businesses that are poisoning the community. So it's a lot of social commentary that is still relevant to today. We're still dealing with the same issues. But again, it was the first portrayal of the hood in this light.
Right. I got introduced to like on the outside looking in to South Central, you got introduced to like gang culture. You're introduced to like even at the end of the film, it's like it has like increase the peace. I think it's the slogan of the film at the end, and that's standing up for something. That to me is like similar to the ending of Do the Right Thing, where you got Malcolm X and Martin Luther King's quotes side by side, or like one after the other. Like, hey, increase the peace. That's pretty much what this film is saying to you.
Yeah, man. Another great film was Poetic Justice. First off, I love the fact that John was able to take these rappers or these singers and these artists outside of the acting realm
Right.
and turn them into great talent, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like Ice Cube. No one knew Ice Cube could act, and he did a solid job, in Boys to the Hood.
I think he was in a film before this called The Glass Castle. I could be wrong. I think The
Mhm.
Glass Castle might have been afterwards, but that was
Yeah.
like another dramatic role for him. But yeah, you're right,
And
man.
I know Tupac. I think he was in some movies prior to this one.
I think he was in
Poetic
Gridlock,
Justice.
wasn't he? Or
I
was
think
Gridlock
so.
after?
I don't know if it was
Above
before.
the Rim, one of them was before this.
Yeah, but still, you had your boy Tupac, you had Janet Jackson, and this sort of love story, this modern tale, this black love story to an extent.
It really is an uncompromising film because, because if you look at the dialogue, if you're reading the script, every other word is fuck. Like they really are swearing like a lot in that movie, but it's not without. It's not without context. It's not without purpose. That was kind of like the dialect of that time and in that place that John Singleton was was making.
Yeah.
And plus, you got the poems by Maya Angelou throughout the film that Miss Justice writes and narrates throughout the movie, which kind of separates it from like any other movie at that time. You got Regina King, you got Joy Torre. It's a great hood love story.
Right. Yeah, her overcoming the loss. I think her boyfriend got killed.
Yeah, Q-Tip, who played her boyfriend, he got shot in the beginning.
Yep. And then her trying to pull herself together in terms of like they had a kid. Did they wait? I'm trying to remember. But I know she was dealing with sort of.
It wasn't about having a kid. It was about no, she was putting herself together because she felt grief after him getting killed. And the thing with Lucky was Lucky was still living with his mother. That's Tupac's character.
Yeah.
And he was just like, learning how to be a man and then coping with his cousin's death, which is revealed in the end. Because that's what the whole trip was for, going to see his cousin. And then just learning to accept love with justice and accept a new day.
Yeah, that was a good one, man. I just loved the iconic, postal service truck that they were driving around in. That was a good one. Let's see, what's another one?
But I love the opening though at the drive-in, even before the shooting. But like how like they got that film up, and you could tell this is like John Singleton satirizing like modern love films at the time.
Yeah.
They had that film with Billy Zane and that woman, and they were like having like these cliche dialogue and stuff, like one of those femme fatale films. That was pretty funny.
The next one is I want to touch on Higher Learning.
Higher Learning is very good.
Higher Learning is a good one. Man,
that's the film. Like I feel like a lot of films have like copied that nowadays, talking about like black people in college and stuff like that. But that was like the first of its kind a little bit.
Yeah, it had Omar Epps, Michael Rappaport,
Tyra Banks, Jennifer Connelly is her name.
Yep, Jennifer Connelly.
Lawrence Fishburne again
right.
with the African dialect, I believe.
Yep.
Ice Cube.
Yes.
Busta Rhymes.
So it's essentially this athlete. He was a track and field star.
Yeah.
Trying to navigate this college life. Dealing with just sort of fitting in, belonging, trying to figure out his identity within that space. Right. And then you also had the rise of these hate groups on campus. And sort of dealing with racial issues like that racial tension. And again, you kind of still see this stuff today. So it's kind of like even like 25 years ago, when he wrote this, directed this movie, these things are still relevant.
It is.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, the iconic scene where Michael Rappaport character was just sniping people, it was on top of the bell tower. Man, that was a deep movie.
You could look at that like back in the day saying, "Oh, this is exaggerating. This is over the top." But looking back on it today, it's not over the top. That film dealt with a lot. It dealt with identity. It dealt with racism. It dealt with gender politics. One of them, when Jennifer Connelly's character, she didn't know if she was gay or not.
Right.
It dealt with a lot in one movie.
Did she get raped in that, or she was dealing with some type of situation where she was sexually assaulted, or?
I don't remember. I think so. I don't remember actually.
Yeah, but the crazy part is like you saw the black group and the white group both dealing with who they are, their identities, their belonging.
She was raped.
Yeah, so both dealing with their belonging in this space, right, in this world, on this campus, each taking it in different. Well, both. Again, they were both different groups, black and white, but they're both sort of looking at identity from the same perspective in terms of like, hey, I'm about to, I'm fighting for mine. I'm going to fight for my own. I'm using this opportunity to sort of, rally the troops, whether you're black, whether you're white, and kind of just not use violence as a tactic. Well, they did,
Yeah.
Because they had that one scene where they came and fought in the cafeteria.
Yeah. The slow motion scene.
Yeah. But again, just looking at identity from different perspectives, and like they both are trying to carve out their space in this campus and in the world, and they're both kind of using violence to do so in a way.
This movie, a big theme in the film also was knowledge. You know, the film is called Higher Learning,
Right.
but there's a great scene with Omar Epps and Ice Cube, where Omar's talking to Ice Cube like, man, you got all these books here. Like, is this all for show? You ever read these? He says, yeah. Like, have you read them? He says, nah, I probably would just have them in my room for, like, clout or something. I forgot the exact dialogue, but Ice Cube was like, well, you should read this book right here. And I forgot which book he gave him. I don't know if it was Miseducation of the Negro, but he gave him a pretty, like, important book. And then I remember at the end, during the end credits, after Lawrence Fishburne has his talk with Omar Epps, you know, trying to, you know, about everything that's happened, there it has the word on the screen saying unlearn. You know, like rethink what you know in this world. Because when you go to college, when you and I went to MSU, I don't know how it was for you, but for me, MSU changed my whole world of thinking.
Right.
Mostly because I was around a lot of people that weren't like me. I was around a lot of white people, you know, and I had gained a worldview of how everybody thinks. I had gained a worldview about how people of the LGBTQ community thinks and how they have to interact in the world. It gave me like a worldview of everything and not just like my insular community from 8 Mile and Lasser.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, there's a great theorist. His name is Paulo Freire, and he has this book called The Pedagogy of the Press, right? And they say that in order for oppressed groups to sort of get themselves out of a situation, they have to unlearn, right? It's a point of unlearning the systems of oppression that are taught within school, right? Within, you know, everyday society. So I think that's kind of what it was touching on, this ability to, you know, use your knowledge that you have to sort of try to get yourself out of the situation. So when he gave him that book, I think it was The Miseducation of the Negro, is using that as like a counter narrative to what's being taught in the school system that kind of keeps you oppressed. So yeah, that was a critical piece, and I think that the professor too, played by Lawrence Fishburne, was also that balancing force for him. I think that it kept him grounded, kept him sort of looking at, all right, how can I make the best out of this opportunity? How can I help myself unlearn these aspects of oppression that have been instilled within me, you know, as a black man on a college campus? And it was just a great movie overall. And John, he did a great job of just, in all of his movies, having that deeper connection to social issues, which I like.
Everything was saying something like so far as we're going, everything is saying something. Boys in Hood is talking about the hood. Poetic Justice is talking about grief and, you know, moving through grief. Higher Learning is talking about just identity and like what we know of the world and trying to challenge that. So his films, like everything had a meaning. Yeah. So now we go back to the old times, the Antebellum era. I never saw this film, but I've heard great things. Rosewood.
Yeah, I've seen it, but the last time I saw it, I was pretty young.
Yeah.
I was pretty young. It was years ago.
It is a classic. I know a lot of people call it a classic. John Voight and Ving Rhames. They it's not even in slavery times. It's in 1923. Still bad times for us, but not the slave era. My bad, y'all. But it is back in the day. It revolves around the Rosewood Massacre in Florida.
Yeah, I definitely got to go and watch that again.
Yep.
I was just a little too young when I was, last time I seen it. What else? Let's see.
He executive produced Woo with Jada Pinkett Smith and Tommy Davidson. You remember that movie?
I don't remember that one.
It was like a cult comedy. It was pretty funny, man. So basically, Tommy Davidson, like he spends a night on the town with this woman named Woo, played by Jada Pinkett Smith, and they just run into all bits of trouble throughout the night. It's a comedy, but it's pretty funny. You know, you got LL Cool J in it, Dave Chappelle, Dwayne Martin, Paula J. Parker, Foxy Brown. It's a pretty funny movie.
Okay. Didn't he do Baby Boy as well?
Oh, okay. But before we get into that movie, let's talk about Shaft.
Oh yeah,
Samuel Jackson. That was a dope remake.
That was
a very dope remake,
Shaft,
man.
And they're doing another remake too. Just FYI.
Yeah, they are. That one looks more on the comedy side. This one was more dramatic and serious because again, this one dealt with, you know, racism. Yep. You know, and it dealt with bringing back this legendary blaxploitation character into like the 2000s. Yeah. You know, we got Samuel Jackson in the titular role. Yep. Is that the right word? Titular? I don't know. And then we got Christian Bale. We got a young Christian Bale, Toni Collette. We got Mekhi Phifer. Yeah, we got a great cast. Richard Roundtree came back too.
Man, that was a great cast. You're right. And Sam Jackson, man, he's one of my favorite actors. Dude. He just the way that he
is. Like, he had that role down packed. He
Real.
had the Shaft role down packed. Like the swag and everything. That really was a great remake.
I just love that he yells at everything though. That's my favorite part. So now should we get into Baby Boy? Yeah, let's get into Baby Boy.
Man. This film right here, man. Like this film teaches you a lot of lessons, but the one lesson it taught me is I don't want to be in the nest forever.
Right.
I gotta move out at the right time when I'm a man.
Yeah, what was the opening scene where he's like in the womb?
That's one of the greatest opening scenes ever, dog. He's in the room and he's giving like different turns for different things in his life. His woman, his mom, his homeboy. That's just a great opening scene because he never left the nest.
Yeah.
He's a baby boy.
You know, the crazy thing, and you see this a lot in the hood too, I feel like mothers, especially single mothers, treat their sons like their husbands, right? They almost give them that much power, right, and that much control.
Definitely.
And you can see like that. The mother was intentionally, once she met her boyfriend, which was played by Ving Rhames,
one of his best roles.
That was her sort of cutting that tether, right, cutting that umbilical cord.
Right.
And it's like, hey, you need to go ahead and be a man. You need to do what you got to do. Like, think about it. He had kids already. He was, a grown man.
This film gave another term to the phrase "babies having babies," because this is a grown man, but he's living at home with his mama, still waiting on his mama to cook him dinner and stuff like that, and got like 2 women that have his babies. You're a baby having babies.
It's crazy.
So Jody he's a specific case, but Jody's live in the hood. Jody's live with their mamas and their daddies, and they haven't out here having babies that haven't moved out the nest. There are Jodys in the hood.
And then it's looking at the cyclical thing. Like now Jody's baby moms, they doing the same thing to their kids that his mom did to him. It's just creating a cycle of just almost like oppressing these boys, right?
One thing you notice too, Taraji P. Henson, who plays one of Jody's baby mothers, and basically his main love interest, because the other baby mother doesn't love him, which he finds later on, is that you always see her sucking her thumb at times, because she's kind of a baby too, you know. And I feel like that was like a great artistic decision, maybe on Taraji's part or on Singleton's part, where you see her sucking her thumb at certain points.
Yeah. Think about that.
And so they both need to grow up, because she's still with this guy who's periodically abusive to her. Not as much, but sometimes there were abusive moments between Jody and Yvette. And so they both need to grow up. He needed to, be a man and stop hitting her, and she needed to grow up and say, hey, you hit me one more time, I'm going to leave, and this time I'm going to mean it. Yeah.
And there was a sense of like toxicness about what love is.
Yeah.
Like I think that from Jody's perspective, he saw love as someone who's going to be there to cook for you, clean for you, support you in that aspect. What's her name? Yvette. She looked at love as just, if the man's in her life, she's going to love him because she didn't have that for her own life growing up.
Then you had Snoop Dogg as the villain.
Right.
He was pretty good, and Omar Gooding killed it.
Oh yeah. Omar's a beast.
Killed it as the best friend, because there's like a pivotal moment in that film where they roll up on these little like wannabe thugs, and they like they whip them with the belt or whatever, and then like Jody is like having like a moment at the end when Omar is whooping the last kid. And it's just kind of like a symbolic moment, because Jody always has thoughts of being killed in the hood, and plus you're whipping a little kid that needs to be whooped, and Jody in a way needs to be whooped because he's kind of a kid.
It's true.
That movie is deep, man.
That is true. Like when you think about it, it's symbolic of the lack of a father figure, right?
Right.
How that usually when you do something bad, the father's there to sort of correct you, check you, and then Jody's like, dang, I never actually had someone to, in my life that check me like this.
Right, and then the big fight with Ving Rhames too. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like there was that fight too where Jody got whooped for real.
Man, that was deep. That's when we just talk about it, you look at all the ways like this is touching on
guns and butter. Who doesn't quote that to this day? Guns and butter. That's all life is about.
It's crazy though, man. But that's a solid, low key, solidly good movie. Like I don't think people really give it the benefit of being a great movie. But when you think about it, the messages within that are way, way deeper than what you kind of imagine.
And again, we still, with James Singleton's filmography, we're still saying something here. You got to grow up. You got to be a man. Whether you're in the hood or the suburbs, you have to be a man.
Yeah. And you notice most of his movies took place in L.A.
They did.
except for Four Brothers. Four
Yeah.
Brothers was in Detroit.
And there's another one here. I don't know if this took place in L.A. I mean, it was directed by We got to give a shout out to it. Too Fast, Too Furious.
Oh yeah, you got to. That's probably one of the better Fast and Furious movies.
Very good sequel. You know, it introduced Tyrese as Roman Pierce to the series. Him and Paul Walker had a great repertoire in that film, great chemistry, and it showed that John Singleton knows how to do action.
Yeah, for sure.
Had some great action sequences, great car chases. You had Ludacris in there,
Man.
Eva Mendes, fine as hell.
Hey, John Singleton is really loyal to his actors too. Think about it.
Yes.
Had Tyrese in what, 2 movies? 3 movies. No, Baby Boy,
3 movies.
Fast and Furious. Yeah.
Okay, so you got anything to say about Too Fast, Too Furious?
I mean, it's a solid. Again, I think it was probably one of the better Fast and Furious movies that came out.
His more mainstream films too. That's one of his more mainstream ones.
And I think it was a chance to sort of to go out and get that widespread appeal. You know, for the most part, leading up to that, he was mainly known within smaller circles, mainly within the Black community, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And this was his first chance to, like I say, go mainstream and let his name really be known. But yeah, solid movie for sure.
Okay. Now this movie is dope, dog, because this takes place in D-Town.
Yeah.
4 brothers.
Yes. Solid movie.
This movie is very dope, man.
So they're all adopted, right? Well,
they're all adopted. So we got Mark Wahlberg, Tyrese Gibson, Andre Benjamin, Andre 3000, and Garrett Hedlund.
Yeah.
And they're all adopted brothers whose sweet adopted mother was shot at a convenience store or something like that, near a convenience store. So they all come back home to figure out what happened.
Yeah. Yeah, this was another one of those mainstream movies as well. Because you got Mark Wahlberg. Mark Wahlberg, you know, at the time, he was selling all types of hits, man.
He was.
And so this is his chance. This is John Singleton's chance to get out there, get known, you know, continue to keep Tyrese out there on the map as well.
Well, I think Baby Boy, I want to say between Baby Boy and Too Fast, Too Furious, because Baby Boy was pretty mainstream when it was out. I remember that being at theaters. Like, I feel like Baby Boy and Too Fast, Too Furious was his coming into the mainstream, and this right here was him like being solidified in it.
Yeah. Although with Four Brothers, I don't know if all of it was shot in Detroit. Some of the scenes I'm like,
yeah, it might not all been shot in Detroit.
Don't look like Detroit. But it's basically again, they were trying to find the person who killed their adoptive mother. It was a great action film. I love that little scene on the ice. You know, where out on the ice.
That was a great scene. And Chiwetel Ejiofor was the villain in this movie.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, he was.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, and you had Sofia Vergara as Tyrese's girlfriend. You had Terrence Howard. You had Taraji P. Henson.
Wow.
The great Finola Flanagan as the adopted mother. It's a great movie.
Solid. Let's see another one. Hold on. We gotta get some more of his most recent stuff. Let's see.
So before we get into that, let's talk about stuff he executive produced, like 2 hits right here: Hustle and Flow.
Oh man,
great film.
Man.
Black Snake Moan.
Oh, that's a good one too.
Both made by the great Craig Brewer, and he also produced Illegal Tender. I don't know if you remember.
I did not see Illegal Tender.
I don't know if you remember that movie. That was like a Latina crime film. It was pretty good though. It was pretty solid.
Man, Hustle and Flow is that movie, man.
It is.
Like, whoop that train.
Yeah.
Nah.
And John Singleton also directed a movie. I look at this as like this was like a mainstream job of his, and it was cool. He directed Abduction with Taylor Lautner. You remember that one?
Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah.
I never saw that one. Did you?
I mean, I vaguely, like, it was one of those movies I saw like in passing, but never really, thought much of it.
Yeah. All right. So now we get to the current stuff here.
Yeah.
And like I said, man, this is what I mean by that comeback. I know he directed a few episode of Empire, episode of American Crime Story, but what he became known for was like the BET series Rebel and Snowfall on FX. Now, I hear a lot of good things about Snowfall. I haven't seen it yet, though.
Me neither. I haven't seen it, but I think it's similar to what is just like I think it's just a kid who's selling drugs to sort of just...
Yeah, it's set in the 80s of when the crack era first began.
Right.
So it deals with that.
Yeah, and I know it was just he was growing up in the hood, trying to make a little bit of money,
Right.
And he came into, I think, crack cocaine, started selling that. But I heard it's amazing. I heard it's a really good movie or TV show.
Yeah.
Haven't had the opportunity to see it, though. I think it's on season 2 or season 3.
It is on season 3.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna take a look at that. See if it has it on. I'm sure it's on Netflix or somewhere. I'll find it. Let's see. He
Yeah.
also directed a movie. I guess it was a documentary.
30 for 30, dealing with Marion Jones.
Yeah, the Marion Jones.
You remember the Marion Jones scandal?
I remember. Was she doping or something?
Yeah. So she was a black athlete. I forgot what she exactly did.
I think she was track, right?
She was
and
track,
Yeah.
and she had won a lot of medals, but it was revealed later on that she was doping.
Mm.
So it was really about her redemption story and like how like she dealt with the fallout, how she took accountability for what she did. It was a pretty solid documentary.
I gotta check that one out. And I love the 30 for 30 suit, man. They're always well done. Like they just,
Yeah.
get into the personal narrative of the people. All of them are interesting. Yeah, so I gotta check that out. There was one he did. I didn't get to see. I want to see though. It's called Through a Lens Darkly.
Through a Lens Darker. He executive produced it. So it's a documentary film. History of black photographers. It's inspired by the book Reflections in Black: A History of Black Photographers, 1840 to the present.
Wow.
Yeah, that looks pretty good.
Yeah. So it says it looks like it was explores African Americans use the camera as a tool for social change, from the invention of photography to the present. Yeah, that's definitely that sounds interesting. I got to take a look at that, man. Just sort of seeing how imagery was used in terms of highlighting, black communities, black identity,
Right.
family, stuff like that.
Awesome. I know he played I thought he played a cameo role in The Game. You remember that comedy, The Game?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I remember the game.
He played a few cameos in that and Real Husbands of Hollywood.
Oh, we can't forget one. He did the Remember the Times video.
Yeah, remember the
Forgot
time
about
video
that.
by Michael Jackson? He did that.
Yeah, so you can't forget about that. Yeah, that was an iconic video. You had Eddie Murphy in there. They had the Egyptian costumes on and stuff like that. That's pretty cool. That was a dope video, for sure.
So I mean, what can we say, man? The man, he's a legend.
Yeah.
He's inspired many black filmmakers of today.
Yeah.
Almost all of his films were trying to say something. They weren't just entertaining, they were saying something. There was a statement to be made. There were themes to be taken from them.
Right. And I think that's the most important thing you could look at too, because like you said, prior to that, a lot of the black movies were they weren't serious, right? It was comedy. It was just sort of like the slapstick humor. Rarely any touch. Well, many did, but rarely rarely could they touch on the black experience in a way that, again, was relatable to these young black people living in the hood. It touched on it in a way that was relevant to what they're dealing with. It was unique perspective. It talked about, love, death, like you said, just sort of finding a way, an identity, like these things that were rarely sort of looked at from that social lens. He was able to do that in a way that captivated the audience of all backgrounds. Like listening to people say on social media, like who he impacted, they came from all walks of life. They weren't just black people. And that kind of just showed you just how important he was, to the industry. It's amazing, man. We lost a great one. I'm just thinking about like who's going to be the next person. Well, we're starting to see it now, like Jordan Peele. Guys like him are coming out.
And I don't think we should think of that either. Like we shouldn't think of like a next John Singleton, because we both know in Hollywood there's always like one top black person.
Yeah.
I think the whole point of this and what Singleton would have wanted is like they wanted to be multiple black people making it.
Mm-hmm.
There's multiple great white filmmakers. Why
Sure.
can't there be multiple black filmmakers at the same time? We got the Barry Jenkins now. We got the Ryan Coogler's, the Jordan Peele's, Boots Riley with Sorry to Bother You. We want to see what he does next. We got multiple of them killing it out here.
And the fact that the black experience isn't just viewed from one lens, right? So
right,
that's
exactly.
That's why we need more. Like we need to see people who have gone through different things in their lives and are able to reflect that through the work that they do. And I mean, the great things that I think now, and even looking at the death of Nipsey Hussle to the death of John Singleton, these are people who have impacted the lives of just everyday people, right? Everyday citizens.
And have paid homage and tried to pay homage to the hood, too.
Right. Yep. They try to lift up the community. And just
Right.
through the messages, even though, again, it may have not worked, it may have fallen on deaf ears, but being able to talk about, why gentrification in the hood is bad, or talk
Right.
about, why we need to have more black-owned businesses, or the importance of establishing a strong black identity. Just having those things discussed in movies is key. Like, it's going to change someone's life, right? It may not change everybody's, but that can sort of build that next great John Singleton, that next great Ryan Coogler. So that's why it's important.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I appreciate all the work that he's done. You know, his life is definitely, has not been in vain at all, right? Yeah.
All right, man. We miss you. This has been another episode of Can We Talk. Please like, share, and subscribe. You got anything else you want to add?
That's all from me. Happy Mother's Day for you all out there, you mothers
Day.
out there. You all have a wonderful day, and we look forward to talking to you all next week.
All right. Peace. It wasn't bad, man. We covered everything in a good amount of time.
Yeah.